Hi, I'm Gavin. So what we're going to do now, we're going to look at another Yashica camera. I showed you the Yashica FX cameras earlier on in other videos, but we're going to look at one of the best Yashicas I think they ever made, which is the Yashica Electro 35, which is this thing. Now, these are just brilliant cameras. These hit the market, I believe, in 1965. And what are they? They are fixed lens rangefinders with a fixed Yashinon DX 1.7 45mm lens on the front. And they were literally designed for anybody to use, and they are quite remarkably good cameras. The lens itself is phenomenal. It's a really, I know I've heard on the internet, people strip down the broken ones, rehouse the actual lens to mount on modern cameras. But yeah, so it's a rangefinder. It's got a couple of modes of operation. It's this one's the GT. This came out in 1969, the black version. There's a couple of versions you can get with different ISO ratings. This one only goes up to 500, I think. Yeah, 500. The next year's version of this one, the GT, went to 1,000. But they're all very similar all the way through. But yeah, I mean, you can get these used to like chuck away cameras. People didn't want them anymore, but now they've gained quite a lot of value. They have a few issues, but they're very repairable. There's quite a few people that can repair them. But as a sort of, I don't know, if you want to shoot rangefinder cameras, I mean, much like the Olympus SP35, that's a bit older, that one. This is so robust, and it literally, no matter what you do, really, you can't take bad photos with this. It's really hard to do it. So, you know, if SLR is not your thing and you just want a portable camera to take round and take great photos, the Yashica Electro 35 really is the way to do it. I mean, it is simplicity itself. It's great design, and it looks the part as well. This is the camera. You may have seen this before. They became a bit more popular because I can't remember which Spider-Man movie, but Peter Parker carries around a chrome Electro 35 in the first half of the movie as he becomes a reporter. And I think that put these back on the map again. But no, any of the versions is good. Some of the earlier ones have got quite orange lenses because they've got thorium in there. I think this is fluorine or something like that. But the orange ones are thorium, and as the thorium degrades, so that's radioactive, but not in a bad way. The orange starts to orange more. I mean, thorium was used to sort of focus the color. So the color all grouped together as opposed to being smeary. Thorium was really good at that. So yeah, so the coatings are important, but it's a tremendous camera, and it's so simple to use. You can, if you look on eBay, you can find them. But if you want a rangefinder, and then I was watching some of the videos about this, quite fascinating. I mean, people easily compare them. For this setup, it's just as good as the Leica. Just as good as the Leica. You'll get, you know, it's got similar materials that it's made from, but it's got a fixed lens. But the thing is, you'll get just as good of photos out of that lens. It's a tremendous, tremendous lens. Okay, so I'll put it on the table. It's not much to look at with this, but it's just, I love a bit of camera design, and this is good camera design. Anyway, put it on the table and I'll come back. So here is the Yashica Electro 35. As you can see, it's like super simple layout on this camera. Winder, and you're slowing over. I'll explain that in a second. ISO dial, this one only goes up to 500 because it was an earlier model of the 235 GTs they made. Then you've got a lock switch here. So if you press lock, you can't fire the shutter. You put it there, just take that off. Fired. You can see right, okay, so let's do this. So you can see here, if I press that down, hang on, which one I put. If I press that, semi-press that down, that says I'm overexposed at the moment, basically. So what I need to do is move the aperture dial until the light goes out. And this happens at the, it's too slow. There you go. So I'm at f16 and it's too slow. So what will happen at too slow, it means that the shutter speed's, I think, at 1/30th. So you basically need to come back on your aperture dial till your light goes out. Now these lights are repeated inside the viewpiece here. So you can see these two coloured arrows, red and amber. So press it again and we shot there. And that's it. So that's your one crank, and that's your frame counter. So you just jump to the front here though. So there's your aperture dial that you change to adjust. Goes from f16 to 1.7. Then you've got this ring at the front, which is, hang on, if I can turn it, I've never changed it. I don't think mine's ever moved. Yeah, there it goes to flash, auto, and bulb. Not that I ever used that. So literally you want to leave it in auto unless you're going to fiddle with flash. That's where you want to leave it. And then obviously you've got the focus, and this is the focus here. It's a really short focus, so it's not quite as nice a focus design as the Olympus SP35, but still it's very good. When I switch between those two cameras, it throws me slightly. But there you go. So that's how you focus it there. And inside you've got like a rangefinder patch, where you've got to meet the two yellow figures together. But it's super simple system. There you go. So I'm overexposed. I just changed that. Light's gone. I can fire. Now, obviously, when I semi-press, I can see that inside the viewfinder. So you don't need to look on the top, but it's great if you're doing like a waist level shot and you've sort of worked out you've used like the zone system or something to work out how far away the subject is. And you can see they've got the zone focusing system here. So if I set it to F4, then you can work out that anything between, what's that, 15 feet roughly either side there is going to be in focus at F4 sort of thing. It's quite complicated. That I have used it, but I'll do a better explanation of how that works on a lens that's is a bit more usable. Anyway, on the back, battery check. Now on the later models, the battery check light moved up to here, but here you go, battery check, and there's your eyepiece. On the bottom there, you've got your rewind, release the film to rewind, and this is where your battery. And I think I've said that, or I'm going to say at the end of the video, that you can get, these need a battery adapter, or I think Amazon started to make replacements for the original Mercury batteries that they had. There's a cold shoe here. The later models had hot shoes. So I think that's probably a flash thing, but let's not worry about that. Anyway, Yashica Electro GT 35. Got the atomic thing on it. Amazing. Great camera. With a Lumix cap. Okay, so there you go, Yashica F35. This is the GT version. Have a quick look around that. Now, things to look out for when you buy these. There's something called the pad of death. Basically, there's a thing in here that was made out of leather or neoprene, and it basically deteriorates over age. So if your camera, when you get one of these, if it doesn't do this, once locked, you can hear this really, really quiet. Okay, really quiet. If you hear it thump, that means that you need to change the neoprene. In It's loud. You need to change the neoprene, because I don't know what that does. I mean, it does all sorts of stuff, but it basically does. The shutter doesn't fire at the correct speed. You'll get bad exposures, all those kind of things. So if it doesn't sort of, it's not quiet, that means that the rubber or the leather or whatever they used originally has deteriorated. If you hear a thump, then you know you've got a problem with the camera. It's quite easily fixable. Apparently, there's a way, if you look online, there's a way you can lift the top cover off. It's a bit fiddly, and you can do it yourself, or you can send it off to a camera repair place. I mean, the main things with these cameras, I mean, you do get sort of, the batteries, you can't get them anymore. In fact, I think Amazon are now making replacements for the original batteries now, which are alkaline. You can get adapters quite cheaply. You put in there, and they'll work. It's like 4 LR44s and an adapter cap. The only other problem is that sometimes the contacts corrode. Sometimes when you press down on the top to get your meter reading, you can hear a noise, grinding noise. And also, so you can repair that as well. But they're really fixable cameras, and they're really clever. And they've got a really, really simple metering unit in here that gives you the correct exposure. But yeah, no, this, I mean, I think they sold in total 8 million of these over the years. And if you want to, like, again, also first steps into photography, but if you really want to get into film photography, have something that shoots great pictures, then, you know, I can't recommend this one enough. These are great, and I'll never part with mine. Okay, thanks for watching.